Okay, one of the things that probably has the most blame ought to be apportioned to it in the dog training world and the dog owning world is the belief that the dog is a wolf, okay, or the belief that a wolf does X, therefore a dog should do X, without any sort of like acceptance of the fact that wolves and dogs split, you know, thousands of years back. But let's forget about that. Let's forget about the difference in development and the difference of evolution between the two species. Let's just look at one, observe the other to understand how we deal with the animal before us. And it's ludicrous when you look at it like that. Yes, there are vast similarities. There are similarities, but they're different animals living different lives. You know, and in terms of do they hunt as a group? No. You stick a dog out on its own and it'll go and hunt. It doesn't need a pack with it to do it. You know, plenty of dogs will take off of their own accord and go and take something. They don't work in conjunction with plenty of other dogs. There may be another 10 or 20 dogs nearby that are all out running in a park whilst one decides to go for a squirrel. Well, all the dogs don't suddenly hone in on that single dog and think, oh, look, it's pack behaviour, that must be a leader. Incidentally, we are obviously subordinate because he's leading the chase. Therefore, really, we ought to follow that leader and do as that leader dictates and go and chase with him. It just doesn't happen. And the sort of things, when you read things like, I'm going to read directly from something here. When a dog charges past you to get out of the door, that's a pack behaviour. Pack leader goes through the door and the gates first, right? Just hear that. Pack leader goes through the door and the gates first. Here's a different one. Probably lots of people have seen this. It's a wonderful read. The principle is never more important than at the next crucial stage, as the owner goes out of the front door. To the dog, this is a portal into another world. So we've obviously spoken to the dog and we understand that. Have we? The dog's conveyed that to us. This is a portal into another world to me. Oh, is it? Thank you very much. I better write that down now because that's obviously accurate. Or it could be a load of crap that I'm guessing at to sell a book. Who knows? It's an exit from the den and home to a million potential threats. I'm going to love going out of that door. A million potential threats. It's absolutely vital that the owner goes through the door first. This signifies that he or she is the leader and that he or she is performing the job of making sure the coast is clear. So this Jan here is forming the assumption that every dog's shitting itself when a doorway opens and requires somebody to go out before it to make sure the coast is clear, thereby asserting myself as leader and making all these cowardly custards behind me think, oh, thank goodness you're here, Jamie. I was crapping myself about going out there and pegging it off down the garden path. What a load of nonsense. What a load of nonsense. When a dog charges past you to get out the door, that's a pack behaviour. Pack leader goes through the door and the gates first. Somebody, I'm not the person to have said this, but somebody once made a very valid point in respect of people who see things like this. How many doors and gates do you see in the wild? You know, because we're talking about, sorry, I gave you singular bunny ears. It should have been double so that I can be as sarcastic as I'm intending to be. How many gates and doorways do you see in your imaginary wild that these dogs, these ancestral wolves go through first? Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely ridiculous. If you want a dog, I don't think a dog should go through a doorway before you personally, unless you invite it to her and you tell it to. The reason being that I don't want to get either smacked by a car when it goes past there, jostling me as I'm going out, or bumping into people that may be coming in. It's manners, it's boundaries and it's manners. It has nothing to do with me assessing the environment for a million potential threats as we enter a portal into another world. I mean, what? Do you know what I mean? People take advice from this sort of stuff. Read it. When you read things like this, read them and see them for what they are. Eat before your dog. Let your dog see that you're eating first. Therefore, your dog will realise that you are the leader, because the alpha wolf will always eat the carrion before the subordinates. I mean, what? What? Do you know what I mean? It's absolute. What about all the millions and millions and millions of people that live perfectly happy lives with their dogs, choosing to let their dog go through a doorway without rushing to go through it first, and letting their dog eat, and then afterwards thinking, oh, fancy a sandwich, and getting up and making one for themselves? Do you know what I mean? What, is the dog now a leader because it's eaten before you did? It's absurd. In my living room, I have three entrance stroke exits to the one room, and I've got 4 dogs in there. So theoretically, by this sort of thing, pack leader goes through doors and gates first, and it's absolutely crucial that the owner goes out the front door first, all this sort of stuff. So theoretically, when I'm sat there watching whatever I have, well, not a great deal because I don't watch much TV, so let's say I'm reading or having a conversation or whatever, and one of my dogs gets up and decides that it's going to go into the kitchen, into the hallway, into the dining room, into the wherever, I've got to beat it. I've got to get up there and go through that doorway before it, have I? Because it's threatening my leadership, the fact that it's going through a doorway without my say-so. You know, if I open the back door and I let my dogs go out in the back garden so that they can go out and relieve themselves, and they're going through that portal into another world, into another dimension with a million threats, and I haven't run out there before them because perhaps it's midnight and it's piddling down and I just want my dogs to go out and relieve themselves. But either I'm sort of like undermining myself as this, you know, pillar of safety against life's untold threats, or I'm allowing you to chip away at the pillar of salt that I've built for myself to sit on top of, because basically I need some sort of nonsense like this to justify my ownership of you, or to basically excuse me from actually getting out and training you. You know, if I train you and I train in accordance with the principles of reward and the principles of correction, and I do that in the right fashion, and I give you all the fuss that I want to give you, do you know what I mean? You know, I'm not going to end up with some dog that's trying to topple the hierarchy within my household. It's absolutely ludicrous. So anyway, I read it. It got right on my nelly, if I'm completely honest, and I just had to say something about it because I know that there's going to be other people that read this stuff. But please, whilst aspects of it do have, you know, beneficial parallels between wolf behaviour and the behaviour of the domestic dog, to actually take one as a blueprint through which to, or from which to design your life with the other, is flawed, very, very flawed.